What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for April 16th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the podcast. Happy Hump Day to everyone out there. As we always do, let's start with a little bit of housekeeping. First, lots of feedback yesterday on the harsh truth segment. Lots of people liking that and says that's just what we need in today's society. So thank you for that. We'll continue over the next 4 weeks to talk about the rest of the 4 harsh truths we all need to focus on. Programming note, next week we will start our Eagles draft focus. We're going to recap and look at the top draft picks from every round, starting with the supplemental, going down to the best first-round picks ever. Have a little bit of fun as we prepare for the Eagles draft. Seems like that's what we're doing with 3 of our 4 teams right now, is just focusing on draft. More on that in a minute. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Continue to spread the word as we grow this thing. Been working on some behind-the-scene things with YouTube, trying to reach more people with that. So lots of good things on the horizon. Also, don't forget that I put highlights and photos and newspaper clippings and things like that on my social media for whatever we're talking about, including my Facebook and LinkedIn. So you can hit me up on there as well. Lots of good discussions always happen on the Facebook page. Yesterday, lots of good talk about Rob Thompson. We'll get to that also in a minute. And then tomorrow, I will be announcing the official 2025 Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame induction class. The votes and the tallies are in. Everyone's been notified, so we'll talk about that tomorrow. And then, of course, later in October, I'll do the spotlight of all the inductees as we get closer to the ceremony in November. Tickets are available if you want. All the information is in the description for that. All right, so let's start with a recap of yesterday's question today. I asked you, is Rob Thompson on the hot seat after the play that they had ever since the Dodgers series? 83% of you said yes, he is. Again, lots of good discussion on my Facebook page. Lots of folks saying that Thompson right now is kind of the scapegoat that you sort of take away when he should have argued for, excuse me, for JT the other night. He's really doing what he has to do. He's playing the hand he was dealt. And then an anonymous texter checked into the Back to the Future voice and text line and said that, yes, he needs to show some fight in order to get the Phillies to win. However, he's done enough probably to save his job. He's kind of dealing with the hand he was dealt. They seem to think he's going to stay. I don't know. I think you need to do something big with this team because the expectations are so high and the urgency is so high. But on Facebook, lots of people saying Dombrowski should be on the hot seat for kind of standing pat. And I don't know if I necessarily disagree with that. And then lots of folks saying Kevin Long, we've given him so many chances. He just doesn't seem to be turning around, whether or not it's him or the players not doing what he's telling them to do. But I think to get rid of the hitting coach, I don't know if that's going to have the impact that you kind of think it's going to be. I think you got to go bigger than that. And lots of people saying it's the whole team. The players need to play better. The manager needs to manage better. The hitting coach needs to coach better. Dombrowski needs to general manage better and all that stuff. So thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. These questions are not going to go away. And honestly, I don't think the Phillies could go on a 10-game win streak, and I think we're still going to have these questions. So buckle up. It's going to be a long season. But to their credit, they did good. Had a good bounce back yesterday, 6-4 win on Jackie Robinson Day. Always one of my favorite days of the year. Bryce with a big home run, which extended the lead and ultimately ended up being the difference in the game. Alec Boehm finally hit an RBI. I think it was like the first time in what seems like a year that he's had an RBI. Luzardo was okay, not necessarily his best performance of the year, but did go into the 6th inning, and then the bullpen was solid behind him. I mean, if that's the kind of bullpen effort you're going to get, I think they'll be okay, but they're just so inconsistent, and they could be so good if they're just consistent. But they're back at it today. Aaron Nola goes on the mound looking for his first win. Would love to see him come out and pitch a gem. This is a 4-game series, so they'll also play the Giants tomorrow. But good bounce back on Jackie Robinson Day for the Phillies, 6-4. Thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. We'll have another one that likely will sure to get the juices flowing as well here later in the show. Flyers have 1 game left in their season after losing yesterday to Columbus 3-0. They're currently in a 3-way tie with Boston and Seattle for the 4th pick in the draft. Good news, though, for the Flyers. They own the tiebreaker over both of those teams. So, barring a victory in the last game of the season, they are looking like they're going to have the 4th pick. I know they have the last pick in the first round, and then there's another one in there. So, Flyers should be very active on draft day. And then Sixers. Here we go. Tankathon for today. Again, I'm not going to mention the other site that stole my idea. We came out with it first, but ran the Tankathon this morning. Not the ideal situation, but the Sixers did keep the pick. They got the 6th pick. Remember, that pick is protected down to the 6th pick. So 3 days of running the draft simulation. 3 days, the Sixers keep their pick. 1, 3, and 6. Trending in the wrong direction, though. But that does lead to today's question of the day. No matter where the Sixers get the pick, do you trust Daryl Morey and Elton Brand to make that pick? Now, free agent signings and things like that aside, contract extensions, they've done a decent job with the draft picks when they've had them. Unfortunately, they've had to get rid of some of them in order to unload some of those poor contracts. But do you trust Daryl Morey and Elton Brand to make the pick? I hate to even say this because we all know what happens when you make comments like this. But I think the way this draft is going to fall, I think no matter where you pick, they can't screw this up, can they? 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Do you trust them to make the draft pick this year? I do, because I really don't think you can mess it up. And as I'm saying that, I'm getting an uneasy feeling in my stomach because just when you think they can't mess it up, they'll mess it up. But let me know your thoughts on Daryl Morey and Elton Brand making this draft pick for the Sixers. Check out my friends over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Lots of great things happening on their sports fan network. Go to clashingconferences.com for details to see what they offer, how you can get involved, and then be sure to check out their podcast wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. Good things happening over there at the Clashing Conferences. And then Philly Goat. This one was a pretty cool one because this dude has been on my radar for a couple years now. I've reached out to him a couple times about doing some different things on this podcast, just timing and things like that, just haven't checked out. But Philly Goat has partnered with Jordan Spector. And if you're familiar with Jordan Spector, he is the artist that creates all those amazing Philly sports pictures. He does things with cards. He teams with players. Philly Goat has teamed with them. So go to Philly Goat, look at the Spector art page on their site. Lots of different options. And like I said, if you've never checked out Jordan Spector art, go to Philly Goat. Check out what this dude does. He's amazing. And you can get many different sizes and things like that. It's a great piece for in your man cave or your office or wherever you kind of do things like that. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order, but that's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order, and check out his partnership now with Jordan Spector, one of the, like I said, I mean, if you've ever seen him at he's a lot of times at the different events in the city. Had a thing down at a booth down at Christmas Village. He was at some of the different light shows and things like that. I've met him at the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Just a good dude, great artist. And now the Philly Goat has a partnership set up with him. So go check out what they have. These are great pieces for, like I said, your office, your man cave, wherever you want to put some of these things. Go check them out. Use that promo code to take 10% off your order, and go support Philly Goat and Jordan Spector. All right, today we're going to go back to 1953. And on this day in 1953, the Phillies lost to the Pirates 14-12 in a wild one. Pirates scored 7 runs in the 4th. Phillies came back and scored 9 in the 5th. And then the Pirates came back and scored 6 in their half of the 5th. Just a ridiculous high-scoring game. But for the Phillies, leadoff hitter and second baseman Connie Ryan had himself a day. He went 6 for 6 with 2 doubles, an RBI, and scored 3 runs. The 6 hits in a 9-inning game tied the Major League record for consecutive hits in a 9-inning game, as well as hits in a 9-inning game. If you're keeping score at home, I know some of you are like me, and you're like, well, what is the record now? It is 7 hits in a 9-inning game by Wilbert Robinson and Rennie Stinnett of the Pirates. It was also a record, like I said, for hits in a 9-inning game for the Phillies. And that record still stands today as most hits in a game. And actually, it doesn't even matter if it's a 9-inning game or extra innings. It's the most hits in a Major League Baseball game for a player on the Phillies. Lots of 5-hit games in Philly sports history, or Phillies history, I should say. The last time happened September 3rd of last year. Kyle Schwarber had 5 hits, including 3 home runs. But on this day, Phillies lose to the Pirates 14-12 back in 1953. Connie Ryan set the Phillies record for hits in a game, going 6 for 6 with 2 doubles, 3 runs, and an RBI. All right, and then finally today, sticking with a Phillies theme, we're going to continue our missing ring spotlight. And today, 2 of the all-time fan favorites in Phillies history, John Kruk and Darren Daulton. 2 longtime players, fan favorites. Kruk only played here for 5 years, but he played on a ton of bad teams. He was a 3-time All-Star while with the Phillies. He is in their Wall of Fame. Just a character who still entertains fans today as the color analyst on the Phillies TV broadcast. Daulton was here for 14 years. He's also in the Phillies Wall of Fame. Led the league in RBIs in 1992, winning the Silver Slugger Award. Came up at late in 1983, so he did go, or was a part or a contributor. He had a couple at-bats late in September of 1983 for that World Series team. Became the starting catcher, or came up for good, I should say, in 1985. Had a well-documented struggles both on and off the field, but did turn it around, became a 3-time All-Star. But most importantly, he was the captain and the heart and soul of that 93 Phillies team, which was both of their best chances to win a World Series. And they didn't disappoint in the World Series. You can say what you want about the 93 Phillies, but John Kruk hit .348, had 4 RBI. Darren Daulton had a homer and 4 RBI in the World Series. And it came down to the questionable decisions of Jim Fregosi, whether he should have left Roger Mason in, whether he should have even gone to Mitch Williams, who was obviously kind of out of gas at that point in Game 6. I think John Kruk and Darren Daulton both deserve to win World Series here in Philly based on just some of the crap teams they had to play on. Daulton would go on to win one after the 97 season with the Marlins before he hung it up. But that 93 team still stinks today. I go back to just the feeling of when Joe Carter hit that home run and still thinking, it was foul. It wasn't foul. So that one still stinks today. But John Kruk and Darren Daulton, today's missing ring spotlight, would have loved to see both of them win the World Series. Kruk just as the fan favorite and just the kind of the funny guy on that 93 team. Darren Daulton, the straight guy who was the heart and soul. And Darren Daulton especially for pouring his heart and soul into the Phillies. And like I said, some really, really bad teams, had some struggles, but once he finally was able to kind of turn it around, went on that little stretch, and then, of course, just his body broke down there near the end. But John Kruk and Darren Daulton, missing rings from that 1993 Phillies team. You can probably add some of the other guys on there, but I think of everybody on that team, the two ultimate fan favorites were Kruk and Daulton. Just couldn't get it done. And again, we can debate Jim Fragosi's moves, but the fact of the matter is Daulton and Kruk did step up in that World Series. So John Kruk and Darren Daulton, today's missing rings spotlight. On this day in 1953, Phillies lose to the Pirates 14-12. Second baseman Connie Ryan set the Phillies team record for hits in a game, going 6 for 6. Still stands today. Lots of people have come close to getting that 6 hits, but nobody got over 5. The last time it happened was last year in September when Kyle Schwarber did it. We'll have more on the Sixers and Flyers draft picks. Be sure to let me know, do you trust Daryl Morey and Elton Brand to make the Sixers draft choice? I mean, I'm talking myself into not trusting them the more I'm speaking to this. But 267-495-8531, that'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Come hit me up on Facebook. Let's have a discussion about it. And we'll also have more on the Phillies as they look to take a 2-1 series lead here against the Giants. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for April 16th, 2024. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Wednesday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.